Mm-hmm.
And he came down one summer. This little country boy,
Mm-hmm.
little thuggy, you know, kind of how I liked him. And I met him and we hit it off instantly. So he wanted to talk to me. He was like, "Is it okay if I call you?" And I was like, "You gotta ask my daddy." So he built up the courage one day. I'll never forget it. We was at church and we had a teen room downstairs. So he walked up the stairs. He was like, "I want to talk to your dad." And I'm like, okay. I was so nervous because, baby, that fear, look, wasn't no boys talking to us, okay? So he went up there. He asked my dad. He came back. I was like, "What did he say?" And he said, "Well, he told me I got to wait till your 16th birthday." So this was summertime. I didn't turn 16 until that November.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. Now keep in mind, he got to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, this boy that I really like, and he got to wait till I turn 16 so that he can talk to me. He gonna go back up there and have him another girlfriend. Like, he ain't gonna wait for me. But he went back home, and when I turned 16, he called me, and it was so sweet. He started writing me letters. At this time, I'm going to high school now, Van Cleve High, my 11th grade year. He's writing me letters and drawing me pictures and just all kind of little cute stuff, you know, little puppy love.
Mm-hmm.
So we dated long distance for the next 2 years until he graduated. And he kept telling me, when I graduate, I'm moving down there. He already knew he wanted to be a welder. That's all he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we had plans. Okay, he was going to move down after he graduated.
So he moved down 2 years later. You're 18 at this point.
Yes. Yes.
So where the kids come from?
Well, he came down when I was 18, and now he was down before then, okay, because he would come down like summer break, winter break.
Okay.
So I saw him those breaks.
Mm-hmm.
We started hanging out that summer.
The summer you turned 16? Or?
No, the summer I turned 18.
Okay.
We was hanging out. You know, I was 18. I had a car. You know, I was getting around. I was working. I was out of school. So, yeah, we was hanging out a lot.
By hanging out, you mean hanging out?
Oh, we was hanging out. Okay.
Got
It was hanging out.
And hanging out.
Doing a lot of sneaking. Because, you know, at this time, I'm still extremely sheltered, okay?
Yeah.
My parents, like, we wasn't going out on, like, alone dates and stuff. They didn't play that. Mm-hmm. So we had to have chaperone dates. He could come over to my house and we could sit in the living room and watch movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And kids are so, man, that's why I be telling my kids, y'all can't pull nothing over on me. Because, baby, we're ingenuous when we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
We was doing a lot. At the parents' house, at the park, you know, everywhere.
Everywhere.
We was hanging.
The chaperone date.
Yeah. You can sneak it off. Because chaperone would be like, okay, I have a sibling with me. Or like we would go out with my older siblings, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have to have like an adult with us, but we had to be with somebody else. We couldn't be alone.
So you got pregnant at 18?
No, I got pregnant. Yeah, I got pregnant at 18. That November, I got pregnant right after Katrina, because Katrina hit that year.
Okay, so you get pregnant at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through those emotions.
Man. First of all, I didn't think I was pregnant. I had no clue I was pregnant, okay? Like, I went to the doctor for something totally unrelated. I'm like taking cold showers and everything, okay, because I'm due. And get to the doctor, I'm sitting in the room. The lady walks in and she's like, "Well, congratulations, you're pregnant." I looked at her and I said, "No, ma'am, you gotta be mistaken. No, I'm not." And she was like, "Oh, no, yes, you're pregnant." And my heart dropped. All I could think about is, how am I going to tell my mama this?
Yeah.
Now, at the time, I wasn't living at home because, you know, we was doing a lot. And so I ended up having to move in with my brother. And my mom had actually made an appointment to get me some birth control. So I'm like, how am I going to tell my mom I'm pregnant? When I called her. I did not tell her face to face. I called her over the phone. I was like, "Ma, I'm pregnant." And she was like, "Yeah, I already know."
They say mamas see no.
She knew every time I was pregnant. Literally every single pregnancy my mom has known. So that was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard because right after that, like when I got pregnant, he and I really wasn't together. After we had a lot happen that summer when I got put out, he actually was like, okay, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I can't deal with your family. It's too much.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deal with you. But of course, we were still kind of seeing each other. And then I get pregnant. And he's like, oh, I'm going to move back home. And I'm like,
You told him you were pregnant.
yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to move back home? I'm moving back home. Like, I don't want to do this. So I'm pregnant. He's still here. He hadn't moved back yet, but he went home for Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind now, he had another baby. So that's a whole nother story. He had already had that child. The year he graduated, he actually had a baby. That's a whole nother story. So I find out from a phone call when they went back for Christmas break that he was going to propose to his other baby mama. And I was here pregnant. So on top of the fact that I was pregnant, I had already fallen right into this, you know, in church sometimes we're made to feel like that's the most horrible thing. I would never say that's a horrible thing, but you know, being a PK already, and then you've already fallen from grace, right?
It's like the ultimate scene.
Yeah. So you're pregnant, you're a teenager. I got to go back to my mama house. And you going up here to propose to this girl?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't going.
What you do? I mean, how you wasn't going if he was finna propose?
Oh, he thought he was going to ruin my Christmas and be okay? No. I called her.
And told her you was pregnant.
I sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I called her until I was pregnant.
So she didn't know?
She didn't know. She didn't know nothing about me.
She know nothing about you?
Mm-hmm.
But y'all had been talking before he was talking to her.
Mm-hmm. It was a whole situation.
Help, Jesus.
At first, I didn't know about her till she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, it was just somebody, you know, it was a mistake. It was, and me being young and sheltered and naive, I believed that.
Yeah.
So then when he came down here to be with me, I'm like, okay, you know, well, you made a mistake. I'm going to forgive you. And we're going to move on. Then I get pregnant.
Yeah.
And now you're going back to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you're not going to do this to me. So needless to say, his Christmas was ruined. So after that, we quit talking. Like, we ain't talk no more. And I was like, okay, I'm pregnant and I got to figure this out. I had some amazing people in my life that went to church with us. And so even though I was, you know, dealing with my shame and stuff, I had people that really like loved me and were there for me. A couple in my parents' church went and pulled up to the church one Saturday at the choir rehearsal with their minivan, like just packed down with everything I needed for the baby. Crib, the stroller, everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you know, so I had great people. They threw me a baby shower, you know. I moved on. He wasn't here when she was born. I had her. Me and my sisters went to the hospital for me to be induced. And I delivered her.
You and your sisters went, so your parents didn't.
Well, my mom was there for the birth, but she didn't go to the hospital when we were being induced. She made it literally right before I had her. Samantha actually cut her umbilical cord. Yeah.
That's what ended up baby.
Yep. That's why they're so close. So after that, after I had her, you know, I started college. I actually, before I got pregnant, I was supposed to have went to college that year. Then I got pregnant. I had a full scholarship. And I waited. And so I started college, and I don't know, I didn't want to be like my parents' responsibility. And I felt like I was. So he called me and was like, hey, why don't you move up here with me? My mom said you can come stay with her. So I want you to bring my baby up here. So I left and I went up there with him. Yeah.
And how long did that last?
So I actually moved up there, I want to say in like September, because I had just started school and dropped out and went to Louisville, Mississippi, in the country. I stayed up there until, well, we stayed there until we came back here to the coast, actually. So we were there to maybe December. Something happened. He had lost a job. And so we called down to my family and was like, hey, we need a little help. And of course, my parents being, the pastors that they are, it's like, we'll help y'all, but y'all got to do the right thing. We ain't going to help y'all shacking up. So we looked at each other and it was like, well, let's get married. And so we did. We came home in January. We got married. We had a wedding in February. And we went on about our life.
So you just married the man.
Yeah.
Looking back today, do you wish that you had made a different decision or?
So that's really hard.
Yeah.
Because had I made a different decision, I wouldn't have the rest of my children.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't have the life experiences I had.
Yeah.
I can tell you that getting married at 20 years old, I was 20, he was 21 at this time. So like that, I do not advise.
Yeah.
We were young. We didn't know nothing about marriage. All I knew what I had seen, and he hadn't seen very many examples of it. So, we had a rough road ahead of us.
Yeah.
We did.
My mom used to always say this thing, and she was like, two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah. Because we were trying to do right, but we did it wrong.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, you had the kid, cool. Not that the kid is a mistake or anything, but that doesn't mean you have to be with this person forever.
Correct.
And I think that a lot of people want that image.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They want that picture perfect, two-parent, all my kids had the same biological parent, like household.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
And I definitely wanted that, because that's what I had growing up.
Yeah.
And then Jamie came along really fast. I think we were married maybe a month or two when I got pregnant with Jamie. But in that time, we were young and he was working and we were doing life, it was good. We had our hiccups, but a lot of it was because we were young.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of stuff that we had to he had to grow up. He had some maturing to do. And as we worked through that, next thing you know, I had baby number 3. Now, my children are all 18 months apart.
Yeah. I'm like,
they really close.
Yeah.
So every 9 months I was pregnant. It seemed like I had 9 months of pregnancy, had a baby, 9 months later I was pregnant again. So we kind of we built a family and we were active in church. I sung in the praise team. I worked with the youth department. We kind of worked with the marriage ministry. He went to church with me. We were active in our church. But the crazy thing is, people never really know what you're going through at home.
Mm-hmm.
You can look like the perfect couple on the outside, but at home, it was like him.
So you got to give us a little more.
Just in the beginning, so there was like 2 phases to it, okay? In the beginning, it was a lot of infidelity. He was mean. He didn't know how to love. And I was doing everything that I knew to do as a wife, all that I had seen. Yeah. I was stay-at-home mom with my kids. He worked and took care of us. But it was just a constant, infidelity. I would be sick. He wouldn't go and see about me, go get me. I remember being pregnant with Jaden, and I was so sick. And I was like, can you go to the store and get me some soup? And he was like, I ain't going to the store to get you no soup. Go get your own soup, just stuff like that. And honestly, I would just say he was young and dumb. He didn't know. So that's what it was mostly in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was just the immaturity. But later it turned into different. So we got through the immature stage. I was like, we need to go get counseling. Okay. Yeah. Like we need to go get some help. I knew enough to go get some help. Mm-hmm. So we did go get counseling. I had got to the point where, keep in mind, I'm 22 with 3 babies. So I'm depressed.
Yeah.
I'm at home. I've given up on going to college. I was a straight A student in high school. Like, I had a full ride to college off my ACT score. And I threw all that away at that time, you know? And so all I was pouring everything into being a mom and a wife. And I'm just trying to be the best mom and wife I can be. And I didn't feel like I was succeeding in that. Yeah. And I was very unhappy. And at the time, I didn't know that you don't look for somebody else to make you happy, you know? I was looking for him to make me happy, and he wasn't. So I was very depressed. I actually reached out for help when I realized that, like, every day I'm waking up dreading to wake up. I don't want to take care of my kids. Like, I just want to stay in this little ball. And he was like, you need to get some help. So I called his, employee assistance program, and I went to therapy. And so I started therapy for myself, working through some things. And then he came to therapy with me. And at this time, we were both kind of like, maybe this just is a mistake and we need to let this go. And so once we got in therapy, she kind of helped us like, hey, y'all got to figure out what y'all want to do. If y'all want to amicably go your separate ways, I'll help you do that. But if you want to stay together, I'll help you strengthen your marriage. And so we actually did the work at that point. Yeah. And our marriage got much better. He took up a job in Virginia. We moved to Virginia. We were there for almost a year. Life was good until it wasn't.
Yeah. So, and obviously still the father of your children, but all his business.
Right.
But it got rough.
It did. So he went through some addiction issues later, and things got really rough in our house. It went from, and I will say that at this point in life, he and I are actually good friends. Mm-hmm. So we've made it through all of it, but it's just what it was at the time. The fights got worse. It went from, we're just arguing, to things are being thrown, to I'm being pushed, to I'm being choked, and the final straws for me was when that escalated in front of my children. Yeah. So once that happened, I was like, I can't live like this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my kids to think that that's what love looks like. I don't want my sons to think that's how you treat a woman. I don't want my daughter to think that's how a man treats a woman, And so I made the decision to leave. And that was really hard because, like I said, we were active in our church. Everybody looked up to us. They respected us, We kind of had that picture perfect marriage. Like in public.
Nobody knew what was
going on.
Yeah.
No. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my parents. Of course, you want to protect. You always been taught to protect your home.
Yeah.
And so it was stuff we didn't talk about that was going on behind closed doors. And so when I made the decision to leave, I had a lot of people like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you leaving this man to take good care of you? Why are you leaving this man and he work hard and he paying all the bills and you stay at home with your children? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I was like, I have to. Because what you see outside is not what I'm dealing with inside.
Mm.
So I did leave, and I had to completely start over, scratch. I have nothing. I had 3 kids. Mm-hmm. The house we lived in, I couldn't afford to keep it. The vehicle we had was in his name, and he took it because he said, you'll never ride around nobody else in my vehicle. I was making a little money, working for my father's business, but I didn't have a job for real. And so I left and I went back home.
So I'm going to call him a man of God. So the man of God left you with 3 children and took y'all's only vehicle.
Yeah. He took the vehicle. Yep. And I ain't have no car.
Yeah.
I got these little kids and called a ride and went on to my parents' house. And I'm like, we going to families. And honestly, in my mind, I thought like, he gonna come back or something, But yeah, that didn't happen.
You thought, so you left him, you thought he was gonna come back?
So Yeah. I thought he was going to come get his family.
You thought he was going to get it together.
I thought he was going to get together and come get his family. That's what I thought. But that's not what happened, you know. So we went to family, and here I am starting over. And it was a rough road. But one thing I was determined that, okay, I'm going to take care of these kids. However, I got to take care of these kids. So my father had a cleaning company.